Good morning, all. CamelbackTrading.org coming to you this Tuesday morning, July 7th. And we're looking at the last 2 days of the SPY ETF market profile here on Window Trader. And yesterday we gapped higher. We filled the gap. And today, with just over an hour to go prior to the opening, we're looking to gap lower. Remember, we spent a good part of the afternoon having trouble getting over the opening until M period did its little dance. Told you how kind of meaningless M period could be the day of. And now this morning, we are attempting to gap lower, which would be our first downside gap for July. Remember, we gapped over a POC yesterday for a naked POC. Well, right now, it looks like we're gapping lower or opening below that POC, which was going to be a downside destination. Now will be an upside destination. So let's go over the destinations and a game plan for this morning. So right now, we'll use yesterday's low, which was a poor low on both sides of the equation. If we gap lower, our first destination would be yesterday's low of 315.56. And then as of now, our pre-market high of 315.79. Above that, we would have the POC of 316.56, which was 10 wide from yesterday. And then yesterday's high of 317.68. And then filling that gap at 318.22 from June 11th. For the downside, we'll still use yesterday's poor low of 315.56. Then below that, we have the naked POC of 313.61, which was 9 wide from the July 2nd, and then 311.51, which was a daily low. And below that, we have 310.45, which was 10 wide from July 1st, and the afternoon pullback low of 310.30 from the same day. So what's the game plan for this morning? Well, just like yesterday, where we wanted to buy the gap because it was a decent risk reward, same thing right now. If we are to open within 50 cents to $1 lower than yesterday's low, I would take a put play, with my out being if we get accepted back into yesterday's range and close the gap. If you do not get accepted, right now my pre-market low is 313.95. I forgot to mention that. So that would be my first destination on the downside prior to the naked POC from the second. We have pretty much a decent price void to the downside. So if this gap holds, we should get our pre-market low, we should get 9 wide, and then we'll see how strong these sellers really are to get July 2nd's low. That'll be the key. So put play to start if the gap holds. As far as a call play, right now, I would not have one. If we are open lower, get back into yesterday's range. I'm not ready to be a buyer just yet. Now, in B period, if we start one-time framing up, and more importantly, get accepted into M period's range, right? M period has such a much more powerful effect in the following day and days. So, if we are to come back into yesterday's range, get accepted into M period, well, then you'll do your pit stops, right? You'll have yesterday's settlement, then you'll have the POC, and then possibly the top of M's range. But we need acceptance back into it. In fact, I would probably use M as my out if I go short, not the gap fill. It's only a 30-cent difference, because if we do not get accepted into M period, then nothing's really changed and sellers are in control. We would have lower value and never get accepted back into M's range. So that would be my out on a short. And then the only way I would look for a long is if we start one-time framing up, say in B period, and get acceptance into M period. Those are two early plays for this morning. And then on the charts, we'll just look at the weekly and the daily this morning. So the weekly did a very nice job coming out of the 3-week balance to the upside. Well, right now we're trading below the high of those 3 weeks. So again, I'm just encompassing this as a one big 6-week balance. So it's pure balance in the weekly right now. And then on the daily, it looks like we're about to stop the one-time framing up. If we take out yesterday's low, we would stop the one-time framing up for 4 days, put us firmly in balance, and more importantly, this is your huge balance, just like on the weekly. So the question is, did we just stretch it a little bit yesterday, and now we're back into this whole balance? If that's the case, certainly use the balance rules. Come check us out at camelbacktrading.org. Have a great day trading, and we'll recap at 4 p.m.